At the Informer, we've been highly critical of government, especially the Andrews government, and for good reason. Our criticism is centred on his destruction of Victoria. The impact he has had on Victorians, the economy, business and industry has been devastating. Now, yesterday, his foundation for destruction reached new levels. When Victorians thought it couldn't get any worse, it has. Andrews locked down the state, implementing even harsher measures that will wreak further havoc in ways too frightening to consider. Victoria is now a train wreck and in dire straits because of poor leadership and an inept opposition. An opposition incapable of holding Andrews to account, with a leader who's a ghost. The media too has played its part in this saga. It's now a nightmare. It has been Andrews' cheer squad, naively buying into a narrative without questioning actions and failing to hold the Premier to account. And because of it, invincibility now forms part of Andrews' persona. He's a Premier exercising totalitarian rule. Fiona Patten, leader of the Reason Party, is also to blame. Patten gave Andrews his extended state of emergency powers. Every 3 months those powers roll over. They have become Victoria's curse. There are many players in a game with no upside except tragedy. Now, since COVID, Victorians and Australians have been sold a destructive narrative. From 2 weeks lockdown to flatten the curve, to masks and social distancing, where death rates will spiral out of control and 60% of Australians would contract COVID, hospitals riddled with COVID patients and dying, and lockdowns required. Everything Australians were told would happen hasn't. There have been no bodies in the streets, no spiralling death rates. There's been very few, in fact. No hospitals overflowing because of COVID. What has eventuated is a single constant in Victoria: lockdowns. Ongoing lockdowns and uncertainty. Andrews, like the rest of Australia's premiers, has misrepresented reality. What they have done is created fear, divided Australians and perpetrated a reliance on vaccines as a way forward. Vaccines that are questionable and not as effective as Australians have been told. Israel is a clear example. More than 55% of its population have been vaccinated and 57% continued to catch COVID after vaccination. The push to mandate vaccine still rages, along with the introduction of vaccine passports, and with it, a medical apartheid. Victorians and Australians' rights to their freedoms are being taken away. The freedom of choice and independence stolen. And for what? What are Australians being sold? There are no solutions except control, and yet solutions must be offered. No desire to find a way forward, except all Andrews has done is blame Victorians for his incompetence, for his failure to effect better contact tracing, for inept health advice that fails to stack up globally. His dependence on PCR testing, which is a failure, and refusal to adopt rapid antigen testing, which the rest of the world and Australian federal government and every other state are now using. Not Victoria though. Andrews refuses to adopt rapid antigen testing. No alternative, credible opposition. No support for the many thousands now jobless, with businesses decimated. A disturbing rapid decline in mental health and poor support for mental health crisis services like Lifeline. Future generations lost with no hope, family and friends separated because of border closures, all created through bureaucratic incompetence and political arrogance. The time has come for Victorians and Australians to push back and not surrender their freedoms by accepting what is on offer, or through apathy, blind acceptance and naivety. History is a great teacher. We should learn from the challenges other countries faced when faced with oppression. That means holding governments to account, applying actual, real political pressure, asking the hard questions, because what is on offer is unpalatable and criminal. Past generations fought for our freedom. The men and women who died for it, well, their sacrifice should not be in vain.